Kevin Stefanski's Shedeur Sanders mismanagement proves he's wrong coach to fix Falcons' messy QB room. Baker Mayfield has gone public with his rivalry versus Kevin Stefanski, who was hired by the Falcons after getting fired by the Browns. Kevin Stefanski's best year as an NFL head coach was his first year. 5 seasons later, he's been hired to figure out what to do with Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins, while getting blasted by Baker Mayfield on social media. Browns got it wrong with Mayfield. Still waiting on a text/call from Stefanski after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage, Mayfield tweeted. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. It was a brutal response from Mayfield, who reached full simmer after a one-sided tweet from a Falcons beat writer. Falcons' Kevin Stefanski had a dumpster fire at quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson failed, which started a chain reaction to 11 other starters, posted D. Orlando Ledbetter. QB Shedeur Sanders closed out last season with 7 starts. Mayfield didn't fail. He was the best QB in recent Browns history and won a road playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the equivalent of reaching the Super Bowl in Cleveland. It also wasn't Mayfield who agreed to the worst trade in NFL history, which set the Browns back years when they made the organizational decision to give Watson a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. The reality is that Stefanski badly managed the Browns' QB problems multiple times, and the new Falcons coach was at his worst with Cleveland in 2025. If anyone failed in Cleveland, it was Stefanski. Going back to Joe Flacco was a bad idea. Promoting Dillon Gabriel early, after ignoring Shedeur Sanders week after week, was an even worse form of organizational leadership. The Browns finished 5-12 last year and went a combined 8-26 during Stefanski's last 2 seasons, while the team's offense plummeted to 31st in the league in average scoring and 30th in offensive yards. Factor in that Stefanski is a former offensive coordinator who was supposed to be an offensive specialist running the Browns, and Atlanta's decision to reward him with a new head coaching job looks like the NFL definition of failing upwards. Stefanski deserved to be fired by Cleveland. The Falcons somehow saw instant promise in all of the Browns' discarded QBs and weekly losing, and turned their QB problem over to a fired coach who signed off on replacing Mayfield with Jacoby Brissett, Watson, Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jameis Winston, Gabriel and Sanders. Fans were quick to correct failure problem. Under Stefanski, 2020-2025, the Browns had 13 starting QBs, was officially posted below the tweet that angered Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, however, led them to an 11-5 record in 2020, their first playoff berth since 2002 and win since 1994. He played through a significant shoulder injury in 2021. The fan responses were pro-Mayfield and anti-Stefanski, and there was little middle ground. Worst QB coach in NFL history? One fan tweeted, "He failed Mayfield. But whatever revision works," a second fan posted. "Baker Mayfield failed?" A third fan responded, "He led the Browns to their only playoff win in almost 40 years. Baker got hurt." The Browns won almost as many games in the 4 years Mayfield was their starter as they did in the 10 years prior to his arrival. Penix was a reach with the number 8 overall pick in the 2024 draft. Mayfield has Pro Bowls to back his words. Injury issues in college have followed the former Washington star in the NFL, and the 25-year-old QB will likely face a training camp battle in 2026. Cousins, 37, is by far the highest-paid QB, 4 years, $180 million, on the Falcons roster, but he spent the last 2 seasons watching his pro experience devalued by Atlanta. New Falcons president of football Matt Ryan lacks a first-round pick in 2026 and has 2 QBs competing for 1 spot. We're thrilled to land a lead-by-example leader in Kevin Stefanski, who brings a clear vision for his staff, our team, and a closely aligned focus on building this team on fundamentals, toughness, and active collaboration with every area of the football operation, Ryan said in a statement. Coach Stefanski is a team-first leader who puts a premium on accountability for everyone and a player-driven culture. The Browns spent the last 2 years as one of the most dysfunctional teams in the NFL, while Stefanski never lived up to the promise of his first year with Mayfield, who has made 2 Pro Bowls leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. "Failed is quite the reach, pal," Mayfield said. "If Stefanski fails with Atlanta's QBs like he did with Cleveland's, he won't have the luxury of failing upward again." Stay up to date with the latest from the NFL across all platforms. Follow our dedicated TalkSport USA Facebook page and subscribe to our TalkSport USA YouTube channel for all the news, exclusives, interviews, and more. The Atlanta Falcons don't need another reset button. They don't need another quarterback reclamation project disguised as a fresh start. And above all, they don't need a head coach whose recent history suggests he still hasn't figured out how to nurture, protect, and elevate young quarterback talent. Yet Kevin Stefanski's name continues to float around NFL circles as a possible solution to Atlanta's quarterback chaos. To anyone who watched the Cleveland Browns' handling of Shedeur Sanders, that idea should trigger immediate alarm bells. Because if Stefanski couldn't get it right with Sanders, a poised, accurate, mentally tough quarterback raised in football structure, why should anyone believe he's the man to untangle the Falcons' even messier QB situation? The promise that was mishandled. When Shedeur Sanders arrived in Cleveland, he didn't come in as a raw, overwhelmed rookie. He arrived with polish, command, a calm confidence forged under relentless scrutiny and NFL-style coaching at the college level. He was supposed to be Stefanski's proof point, a quarterback who could thrive in a system built on rhythm, timing, and decision-making. Instead, Sanders became another example of Stefanski's recurring flaw, treating quarterbacks like interchangeable parts rather than developing them as long-term investments. From the start, Sanders was caught in philosophical limbo. Stefanski preached patience publicly but demanded immediate perfection privately. The play calling oscillated between conservative handcuffs and sudden high-risk exposure. One week, Sanders was told to manage the game. The next, he was asked to rescue it. That isn't development. That's confusion. And confusion is fatal for young quarterbacks. Stefanski's system over the quarterback. Stefanski's greatest strength, his unwavering belief in his system, has quietly become his biggest weakness. He doesn't adapt quarterbacks to the offense. He forces them to adapt to it, often before they're ready. Shedeur Sanders didn't fail in Cleveland because he couldn't read defenses or throw with anticipation. He failed because Stefanski never committed to a clear developmental identity. Was Sanders a distributor? A playmaker? A field general? The answer changed week to week, depending on opponent, injuries, and Stefanski's own shifting confidence. Great quarterback coaches simplify. Stefanski complicates. For a young QB, clarity is oxygen. Sanders was slowly suffocated by mixed messaging, praised for toughness one day, benched for caution the next. Encouraged to take shots, then reprimanded for turnovers that came from those very shots.